Hey there, true believers. You're tuned into Baxter Building Radio via the Negative Zone feed, and you are listening to episode 37 of the Fantastic Four Fancast. My name's Nate Charles. I'm your host, and I am joined by my co-host. His name is Shane Murray. How you doing tonight, Shane?
Definitely had better weeks, but overall, I guess not the worst week. How about yourself?
I'm good. Like, now you have me curious as to what's going on.
Well, my oven almost caught fire, so I had to buy a new oven. Someone come and took that stupid refrigerator that got dropped off here at the house that wasn't supposed to get dropped off at the house. That's a whole nother story. But finally got that loaded into a truck yesterday. That was fun. Almost
What
crushed my head.
refrigerator? What is this refrigerator that you're talking about?
So my darling wife decided that she was going to try to help out, and the person that worked for her, had a fridge that they were replacing, and they're like, "Oh, it's not that old." My brother, it was a 31-year-old fridge.
Oh, well, that's an old fridge.
Yeah, so yeah, it was an old white side by side. Doesn't fit the decor at all, and also just don't need it. So it was been sitting behind the pool table for almost 2 months. And then finally, one of dad's friends was like, "Yeah, I think I'll take it." So we had to load that in the truck yesterday. And someone has to be the guy that pulls that giant heavy fridge into the back of the truck, which would be this guy. And then because it was all wet and all that, slipped. So I'm holding a fridge that weighs, I don't even know, above my head as I'm trying to stand myself up and not hit my head on the roll bar on the back of the truck. But it's fine. I'm here to tell the tale. I got up, didn't fall.
Well, I'm sure glad to do that. It's really hard to do this show without you.
Yeah, so I had to buy a new stove, but I did get rid of that. There's some just other stuff going on. I'm waiting to hear back from hopefully tomorrow. So,
Nice. For whatever that is, I wish you the best of luck with it.
but other than that, the dog's not sick anymore. The stuff that the doctor started last week worked. We'll see next Wednesday. She goes back to the vet to see if she's okay. So, another vet bill. Yay.
But the
This
good
month
news
is
is you got a healthy pup out of it.
Yeah, this month has been. I thought I needed a win at the end of last year. This year has just started off just as bad, and I can't.
But you will.
Yeah, I don't seem to stop, but like there has to be something positive to come my way one of these days.
Oh,
Like,
buddy, I'm sure. I'm sure there will be.
I don't think I put that much bad juju out in the ethos. I'm not like I don't think I'm a bad guy. Apparently, I'm like the worst guy ever, according to like nature or something, because I get paid back for I don't even know existing. How about yourself?
Well, I had a little something good come my way today. Went up to the comic shop, picked up my regular pull, which included the first issue of Fantastic Four versus Planet of the Apes. Haven't had a chance to read it yet, though. But I did walk away with a little something something.
Ah, was
So,
that what you were trying to pay off?
yeah, so what Shane can see and you guys can't is I'm currently working on a Volume 1 Captain America collection, and I just got myself a nice little key of Captain America number 117, First Falcon. So, pretty stoked about that. I did have a copy of that book before, but it had a detached centerfold. This one does not, so better condition. Trading up in the world.
All we can do.
But yeah, other than that, I've been working on the upcoming show for the spring and physical therapy for my knee, which is I'm not honestly sure if it's doing anything because it still hurts, but that's where I'm at.
It takes time, I guess. I don't know. I've never had to go through physical therapy. That's what people tell me is it takes time.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, these are the problems that come along with, hitting middle age, right?
Yeah. Once you crest that four number,
You know who else was middle aged and decided to put a little good back out into the cosmos, inadvertently as it might have been?
um, Skip Collins.
That is correct. Skip Collins, the subject of today's issue, Shane, which, in case you forgot, but it doesn't sound like you did, we are going to deep dive into Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 234 today. So, are you
Yeah,
ready to get started?
I absolutely am.
Fantastic. So, Fantastic Four, Volume 1, number 234, was cover dated for September of 1981, but was released on June 16th of 1981 with a cover price of 50 cents. Unfortunately, you're not likely to get a hold of it for that price these days. As per usual, I hopped onto pricecharting.com, Shane, and I got us some values here for what this book has sold for. So, are you ready to come on down and play the prices right?
Oh, absolutely.
Alrighty. So we've got direct market values and we've got newsstand values.
Ooh.
How much, Shane, would you guess that a direct market copy graded at a 9.8 has sold for?
Um, of this issue?
No,
Uh,
of the one we covered 3 weeks ago.
um, $64.
Man, that's actually a pretty good guess. $70.13 is the actual high value on this book.
Wow.
How about an ungraded direct market copy? What do you think
Uh,
that has sold for?
$4.
You lose.
Really? Okay.
$3.86. You were over.
Fair enough.
A
Taxes
whole
would get me.
14 cents.
My taxes would get me there, but yes, I was over.
So for the newsstand copy, I was not able to find any other values than the ungraded copy. So what do you think an ungraded newsstand copy is sold for?
Um, $4.50.
You are over again.
No way.
Yeah, so I know that we're used to the newsstand copies running a little bit more expensive. Not so much in this case. $3.47.
That's wild.
Yeah. Creative team for today's issue. John Byrne takes on the writing duties, the penciling duties, and the inking duties. He's joined by colorist Bob Sharon, letterer Gene Simic, daughter of Artie Simic. If you remember from our Stan and Jack issues, he would handle the lettering on those books. His daughter is now handling, or his daughter rather was handling the lettering duties on Byrne's Fantastic Four. Editor was Jim Salicrup, and editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. Shane, would you like to hear a synopsis today via Marvel Unlimited?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Skip Collins is on a tour of New York the day the city comes crumbling down. Can this ordinary man with an ordinary life save New York in an extraordinary way?
I mean, that's a fantastic way to put it.
Certainly is. Ask all the right questions. So, the cover of this issue was drawn by John Byrne and inked by Terry Austin and lettered by Jasper Saladino. You want to take us through the cover of Fantastic Four, Volume 1, number 234.
Sure. We have a white silhouette with some text on it with it, who is he, what is he? Then we have a nice little I don't know what you want to call that, like a little caption on the bottom of this that page there with some text. And you have the caption says the fabulous FF faced the man with the power. And then you have the FF colored in yellow on this red background, so it really is just stands out. And they're all look frightened to stare at this man in the white silhouette. And then you have a beautiful corner box, and you have the nice Marvel's comic group going across the top, and World's Greatest Comic Magazine, and the Comic Code Authority, and all that fun stuff. Is it like the best cover? Probably not. But does it bring home the story? Going back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, it has a lot to do with the story. So, it is a good cover to tell you what's going on or give you an idea of what's going to go on in this book. It's like a synopsis of the book without being a synopsis.
Hmm. I'm not so certain I agree with you on that point, Shane, but we can touch base on that later when we finish going through the issue. I think it's a cool cover, but I'm not entirely certain that it definitely illustrates the story per se this time around. But like I said, we'll touch on that later. We open to the first page, and we are, of course, greeted with the origin caption that was the header of the Marvel books at this time, which reads Reed Richards, Ben Grimm, Sue Richards, Johnny Storm. Together they braved the unknown terrors of outer space and were changed into something more than human. Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, the Invisible Girl, the Human Torch. And now the world will never again be the same. Stan Lee presents The Fantastic Four. And we get the title of today's issue, Shane.
Yep, the man with the power.
And what do we see here on the splash page?
We see a middle-aged man that looks just absolutely devastated to wake up in his awfully distressed bedroom. He's got newspapers on the ground, a Time magazine cover with the Fantastic Four on it. I'm not sure what that, there's like a photo on his nightstand with stuff coming out of his nightstand, some real old-fashioned nightshades. You got the picture of a matador up there, and then you got some other, I guess like it looks like they might have been like caricatures of them on the outside of them. And nice wall paneling room. This looks straight out of the 70s, this whole bedroom.
Now, is he alone here?
No, his wife is still sleeping in the bed.
And our captions say Shakespeare wrote, Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Then there are those who live their lives in obscurity, unaware of the greatness they harbor within. This is the story of such a man. He is L.R. Skip Collins, and he may be the most powerful man who ever lived. And we see Skip don his dressing robe over his pajamas as he makes his way to the bathroom and has himself a shave before returning to his room and dressing for work. Looking at him, you would not expect to notice anything extraordinary. He has the look of a man mired in mediocrity, and that is what he is. With his wife Louisa, he has fathered 4 children. With the First City Bank of Skokie, he has purchased a modest 2-story home. With great reluctance, he is captain of the bowling team down at the Acme Aglet. He likes Monday Night Football and an occasional beer with the boys. He loves his wife very much. But sometimes, rooted as he is in perhaps antiquated ideas of the roles allotted to the sexes, he wishes Louisa would try a little harder to keep up with her wifely chores. And Skip takes a look around his room and thinks to himself, Look at this mess. I know Ellie has a full-time job just keeping up with Leroy Jr., but sometimes I think it would be nice if this place would clean itself up. So it does. And what has happened here, Shane? Describe the before and after we see.
So before he when he goes and says look at a mess, the room is absolutely distraught, has clothes hanging all over the place, the like the paper and the stuff on the floor, stuff just hanging out of and off of anything that can be hanging out or off of. And after he closes the door, it is 100% clean. Like he had a maid come in and fix it in an instant. What a fairy godmother he has.
When he comes home tonight, Skip Collins will assume his wife found time to do the housework. And Louisa, stirring in her sleep at the vague feeling that something has happened, wakes to the sudden order and assumes that Skip, ever thoughtful Skip, has done the tidying, and knows from past experience that everything is just where she would have put it. And we see Skip wander down the stairs into his living room. And Skip himself registers only mild surprise to find the rest of the house, left in considerable disorder after last night's get-together with the Stanleys and the Drakes, is now as neat as he could wish. Surprise of a different sort comes finding his youngest son, still living at home, in the kitchen already. And we see Skip enter the dining room, and his son is seated at the dining table. And describe his son to us, Shane.
Oh yeah, he looks like an absolute like just what people would used to think was the epitome of the useless to society. Long hair, beard, sunglasses inside the house, and his son's just sitting there at the table holding his head and reading a Play Guy magazine.
I think it's supposed to be Playboy. Yeah,
It does say Play Guy on it.
it does. It does. I couldn't quite make it out here in what I'm reading, but how many play guys have you read in your life, Shane?
None,
No, not even for the articles.
not even for the articles.
And Skip says, Junior, gosh, you're up early. Gosh, no, I ain't. I only got home half an hour ago. Now shut up, will you? I'm reading. Reading. That hardly seems appropriate material for the breakfast table. You know how it'll upset your mother. And tell her not to look. I do wish you wouldn't talk back like that, son. Your mother and I make so few demands. Strikes me that's a few too many, old man. Why do I even bother? Can't get through to him at all. But I do wish he'd get a haircut. And so Skip departs, knowing that the next time he sees his son, nothing will have changed. Perhaps because he does not wish to exert too strong a control over his children. Or perhaps it is that even the greatest power must have limits. It is a question Skip Collins is unlikely to ponder. Skip is a man who avoids such questions, a man who craves only total anonymity. Skip Collins does not like to stand out in a crowd. We see Skip exit his house and enter his garage and get in his car and pull out of the driveway. So he leaves his perfectly ordinary house, bound for his perfectly ordinary job, blithely unaware that he is the engineer of his own fate, and the everyday tedium of his life is his own creation. He drives the same route he has driven for 18 years, and he thinks the same thoughts. Grass is looking a little brown. Better put on some fertilizer. Wonder if there's enough in the bank for a new mulcher. Skip Collins has constructed for himself a life in which there is little room for the out of the ordinary. Imagine then his chagrin when he turns a corner to find, oh, brother, a traffic jam. I'll be late for work. If only I'd left a half hour earlier, I'd missed it. And it becomes a half hour earlier simply by virtue of the fact that Skip desires it so. The effect on Skip is negligible. And Shane, go ahead and describe the before and after of this city street for us.
Oh, so before he thinks about the fact that he wishes he left a half hour earlier, he is in literal bumper to bumper traffic. He thinks that thought, and the street completely opens up. There's just one little station wagon out there in front of him.
And the clock that is hanging over the street off of one of the buildings does rewind itself by a half hour. He is simply relieved that he will not, after all, be late for work. And so, promptly at 7:15, he pulls through the main gate, just as he has for those same 18 years. A creature of habit is Skip. But sometimes the most meticulously constructed patterns can be broken. And Skip thinks to himself as he approaches the door, oh, darn, left the key to my office at home. There's the spare key on the rack. Doesn't do me a whole lot of good in there. Fuss and bother. I should leave the door unlocked. The whole factory's guarded. What could be stolen? I should leave the door unlocked. And what happens, Shane?
The key to that door pulls itself off of the little hanger it's on, flies straight into the keyhole inside the office, and unlocks itself.
And it makes a noise.
Click.
And this all happens while Skip has his back turned. Hmm? What was that noise? Sounded almost like. And he grabs the doorknob and finds that the door is now unlocked. Well, I'll be darned. Guess I must have left it open. I should have checked. And we see Skip's position with the company he's at, which is Acme Aglet. And what is Skip's title?
Manager of traffic control.
Skip enters his office and proceeds to work. And who knows, in so frail a pattern as the one Skip has constructed for himself, one disruption might lead to another. And we see a gentleman enter Skip's office. And can you describe him to the true believers, Shane?
So this well-dressed man, fully in a very nice put together suit, with his hair all done did, comes in to talk to Skip and offer him some stuff. I don't know what else to say except for this man is clearly dressed a couple stages above Skip with his non-perfectly tailored suit and a bow tie.
How do you like his pencil mustache?
Oh, it's perfect. It fits his character perfectly.
And Skip's boss says, Collins, got a moment to talk. The boss. Sure, Mr. Wilkins. Collins, you've been with us almost 20 years now, and we've never had a reason to fault your work. That's why I've decided to ask you to do me a favor. I have a business meeting in New York on Monday morning, but I also have to be at my daughter's piano recital in the afternoon. Little Babs would be real disappointed if I missed her recital, so I'd like you to handle that meeting. Me? Go to New York? There's an old saying, no sooner said than done. In the case of Skip Collins, that could be taken as a fact of life. So while his fellow employees plod through a full week, for Skip, it is now Saturday morning and he is New York bound. And we see Skip's flight take off into the air. And does Skip wonder at this sudden acceleration? Not at all. Skip rarely wonders about anything. Well, sometimes there is one thing. And we see Skip on the plane sitting next to another gentleman in a black suit reading a newspaper. What are some of the headlines here?
Reagan says no to talks. Another XGI is a leukemia victim. Uh, the other one says no hope of.
I believe it's Cure, referencing back to the leukemia.
Hmm, yeah, I don't know. It cuts off into his knee.
Yeah. Skip thinks to himself, hmm, the headline about XGIs. Miracle says a lot of soldiers who were involved in nuclear tests are real sick. I was in some of those tests. And unbidden, Skip's mind rolls back the years to review a much younger version of himself in 1955. No one asked questions in the army, so no one asked why his regiment was on maneuvers in Nevada. And what do we see here, Shane?
So we see Skip's whole regiment get driven out to the desert and become part of well, what he is describing as a blast test. I'm assuming they were just trying to test to see how close they could get to a nuclear explosion before they would lose soldiers.
No one even asked when they were trucked 200 miles out into the desert and told to sit with their backs to the north and their hands over their eyes. There's a curious picture. 50 GIs squatting in the chill dawn, feeling like jackasses, and all sure they heard deserts were supposed to be hot. None of them had the slightest notion of just how hot a small part of that desert was about to become, as someone, somewhere, pressed a button, and for just a moment, the gates of Hades yawned wide. And we see this nuclear blast happen, and Skip and his regiment are fully illuminated by the golden glow of the explosion. The light hit them first, that awful searing light, so bright that for one terrifying instant, through his tightly closed eyelids, Skip Collins saw the bones of his fingers etched against the glare. Then came the heat and the awful endless blast of sound, like all the bombs in the world exploding at once. But the worst came over the next few weeks, as he and the others in his platoon were subjected to all manner of mystifying and embarrassing examinations, including that panel with that doctor asking those dumb questions. And what do we see here, Shane?
Oh, we see Skip in a towel standing in front of like a committee with a scientist when they're asking questions. There's some charts there. There's a blackboard. That would be really bothersome to have to just stand in front of a bunch of people in a towel.
Yeah, you're telling me, pal. Eventually, they were all passed as unaffected. Skip had decided not to tell them about the odd buzzing he developed in the back of his skull. 25 years later, that buzzing is still there, though Skip hardly notices it these days. Certainly not over the pounding of his heart as he checks into his hotel room and prepares to fulfill a lifelong fantasy to play tourist in perhaps the greatest city in the world. New York, New York. So much city they had to name it twice. Skip revels in the sights and sounds and scents of the ultimate metropolis. And what are some of the sights that Skip is seeing here, Shane?
The Empire State Building, Radio City, the Statue of Liberty, the corner of Broadway and 42nd, the Daily Bugle, and the Twin Towers.
So, why did you refer to the one building as the Daily Bugle, Shane?
Because it looks like the Daily Bugle from Spider-Man.
From the Raimi Spider-Man movies?
Yeah.
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 So, in actuality, that is called the Flatiron Building.
Yeah. We're gonna refer to that as the Daily Bugle from the Spider-Man, the Raimi Spider-Mans. That's all that building will ever be.
Oh, never change, buddy. New York is a little piece of home to everyone, and Skip loves it even more than he'd expected. And like all visitors here, his footsteps eventually bring him to a certain avenue and one particular landmark. And what's that, Shane?
It looks like that really bustling cafe. Definitely not the Baxter building.
Which is right next door and clearly labeled Baxter. But yeah, I mean, that cafe must be doing banging business. And Skip, looking at a tourist pamphlet, which is highlighting the Baxter building, thinks, the Baxter building, renowned as the headquarters of the Fantastic Four, was built in 1961 by millionaire industrialist Jackson Lee Baxter. Although the structure has been greatly modified and strengthened by Reed Richards, leader of the FF, it still remains a remarkable example of the building blocks school of architectural design. Wow. So, Shane, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here on this panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they say here that the Baxter Building was built in 1961. However, that just should be kind of taken as a nod to the Fantastic Four's debut in 1961, because ever since the printing of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe number 4, which was cover dated for April of 1983, it's been generally considered that the Baxter Building was actually constructed in 1949.
Fair enough.
Can I say I'm a stickler for detail? And Skip looks up from his pamphlet, and who does he see, Shane?
Oh, none other than Sue and Reed going out for a little jaunt about town.
So, what are Sue and Reed wearing today as they prepare for their day out?
Oh, sure. Reed has a fantastic orange jacket over a nice blue polo there. And Sue has like a burgundy sport coat over a white blouse with a big red belt and tan pants.
Man, I was really hoping you were going to go further on Reed's jacket here because what is going on? Like,
That jacket's amazing. What are you talking about? Look at all the frills. It was perfect. It was quintessential Reed. Reed's
Yeah,
last fashion update was 1961, buddy.
well, you're not necessarily wrong. And Skip thinks to himself, the Fantastic Four. Wouldn't Ellie be thrilled if I could go back home and tell her I'd seen him in action? Or even got one of their oh my gosh, that couple. It's Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Girl. I wonder if I dare follow them. So he does for the best part of an hour as Reed Richards and his wife Susan wend their casual way through the canyons of New York. Until, what do they come across?
They come across a scene with a bunch of spectators around a fire truck with a girl standing on a ledge.
And how old would you say this girl is, Shane?
Ah, dude, she's got to be like between like 11 and 14.
And Sue says, Reed, look, that little girl up there. Like a living Red Sea, the wall of onlookers parts before the famous couple. And, fireman, is there anything we can do? Reed says as he approaches one of the emergency responders. And the responder says, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Girl. Boy, am I glad to see you. That building is scheduled to be demolished today. The whole thing is ready to fall down if anyone so much as blows on it. Some of her friends dared that girl to go inside. Somehow she got past the security guards and climbed out onto that ledge. Now she's too scared to jump to my man up there, and we can't maneuver close enough to just grab her. And we see another firefighter at the top of the ladder coming off of the engine, holding out his arms towards this child, who is frightened and pressing back against the window. Firefighter says, Please, honey, just jump. I'll catch you. But what does Reed do?
Reed bursts into instant action, and one of the coolest panels because he extends out of his regular clothes, and his regular clothes stay down at his feet as he goes up to save her from the ledge.
And Reed is wearing his Fantastic Four uniform under his street clothes before anybody gets too worried about what's happening here. And as he stretches up into the air, he says, Say no more, Chief. Leave it to me. A surge of energy ripples through his cosmic ray altered cells, and Reed Richards' elastic form stretches out. And the firefighter says, Holy. And not a moment too soon. The ledge, it's crumbling under her weight. Don't worry, I've got you. And Reed's hands grow in size as he extends his arms towards the child to catch her, while the child makes a noise, Shane.
Eee!
It's beautiful, man. You get to voice all the children from here on out. And Reed catches her and brings her in close. There now, you'll be all right, provided you don't go playing anywhere else you're not supposed to. I I won't. But as Mr. Fantastic deposits the shaken youngster safely on the ground and recovers his discarded outer garb, from within the condemned building comes a sound like the popping of thousands of 4th of July firecrackers. Fireman points up. The building! It's collapsing! Another firefighter goes running from the engine. Run, everybody! And Sue springs into action next, thinking, There's no way anyone could get clear in time. The debris will cover most of the block. But not if I throw up an invisible force field, at the same time turning my street clothes invisible and my costume underneath them visible. Shane, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this is way more complicated than it has to be.
I read that this morning. I read it 3 times. I was like, there's no reason. Like, you're there. Everyone knows who you are. Just do it. Like, why are you like, I can only use my powers if my Fantastic Four suit is on?
And keep in mind, Shane, that we recently, in episode 35, covered Fantastic Four Volume 1, Number 10. And one of the plot points in that book was the idea of Sue's powers being increased so she could turn certain parts of herself or other things invisible at multiple times. Obviously, that's not a problem anymore because since she's left the Baxter building, she's been keeping her costume invisible under her clothes, and now she is making her costume visible while turning her outer garb invisible. Really, you'd think she'd just be focused on the force field, right?
Yeah, you think you wouldn't need to do it. I don't know. There's the I hate it.
Someone might be doing a little grumbling right here, huh?
Nah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Like something from a madman's dream, an impossible tidal wave of stone and steel hurtles towards the onlookers, but does not reach them, and the building collapses on Sue's force field.
Shoom.
And Reed says, "You did it, Sue. Your force field stopped it. Now quickly, clear the street of the rubble. Hurry!" "No problem for my force field scoop to push the debris aside, but what's the rush?" "That building did not fall on its own accord. Didn't you feel anything just before the collapse? A strange vertigo, as if something was disturbing the balance of your inner ear?" "Yes, now that you mention it, I did feel something." "And it's still going on. Look at the ground, Sue." "It's vibrating, as if the street were trembling." And one of the firefighters chimes in. "Not just the street, Mrs. Richards. Look up there." Oh no. Like the image in a reflecting pool, the mighty towers seem to shimmer, then shatter. And what do we see here, Shane?
All of the tall buildings around them are starting to fall apart from the top. So all the skyscrapers are just completely being demolished by this vibration wave.
And Reed says, "Some kind of invisible waves striking the buildings. Reed, the whole city's crumbling." And Sue puts up a force field to try and cover herself and Reed, and I'm assuming as many pedestrians as she can. "We've got to get back to the Baxter building. My equipment may be able to analyze this phenomenon." "But even if you can find out what it is, what can we do to stop it?" And a few yards away, who do we see?
None other than Skip looking out from around a wall.
And he thinks to himself, "Oh my, I was hoping to see the Fantastic Four in action, but this is more than I had in mind. Reed and Sue are leaving. I think I'd be wise to follow them." And as Skip Collins sets out after them, not far away in Clancy's Irish pub, who do we see, Shane?
We see none other than the Thing sitting at a bar having a conversation with the bartender who happens to be an old acquaintance of his.
And how is Ben dressed? I feel like this is one of Ben's more underutilized looks here.
He's got almost looks like blue jeans on. He's got shoes and a green sweater.
And Ben says to the bartender, "That's it, Mick. One's all I allow myself. Guy with my strength can't afford to get tipsy." And it ain't like the old days, Ben, when you and me was hanging our hides over the edge in the high desert. A lot of things changed since we was test pilots. Flying and drinking was all part of the life then. And Ben goes to grab his glass and takes notice of a strange phenomenon. "Hey, look at my glass. It's shaking all by its lonesome. And me bottles is all trembling like leprechauns what's lost their pot of gold. What could be?" But before Mick Clancy can finish, what happens, Shane?
The building collapses around them as all the bottles start falling on them, and Ben and Mick go to the floor.
Holy spit! Ben, it's an earthquake. Earthquake nothing. Feels like we just been drop kicked by Galactus. Within seconds, Clancy's Irish pub is transformed into a shapeless pile of rubble. But thanks to the Thing, its two occupants emerge relatively unscathed, and Ben lifts the debris off of himself and Clancy. "Ben, you saved my life." "Yeah, well, remember that the next time you're watering the whiskey." The Thing's gruff bass voice drops to a quivering whisper. Clancy's was not the only building affected. The city of New York lies before him a jumble ruin. Images of Blitz London flash through Ben's mind. his senses reel, refusing for long minutes to accept what they perceive. Then the acrid scent of smoke reaches his nostrils, as his ears begin to detect the distant moans of the dying. Not long ago, nor far away, in the modest apartment of Frankie Ray, what do we see?
We see Johnny and Frankie having a conversation on the couch.
I don't know how many more ways I can say it, Frankie. I just haven't been happy since we split up. I really want to believe you, Johnny. I really do. But how can I believe that the Human Torch could be saddened by the loss of a mere mortal? Frankie, please, just give me the chance to prove my love. Give me the chance to show you once and for all that you mean more to me than being Johnny Storm, boy superhero. Oh, oh, Johnny. And what do they do, Shane?
They celebrate with a kiss.
Yeah, real sweet stuff.
Hmm.
Be a shame if someone dropped a building on him, right?
It'd be something funny at least.
Suddenly, holy, the building's shaking. Johnny, it's collapsing. Blast it. I know Frankie doesn't like me using my flame, but flame on. Hang on, Frankie. Johnny, it's an earthquake. And what does Johnny do here?
So Johnny grabs Frankie and takes her out of the building right away to rescue her, takes her to safety, and then realizes that there's more people falling out of the building. So he goes and tries to figure out a way to stop them from falling to their doom.
Those other people, they were thrown out by the quake too. Gotta do something. Frankie, you stay back out of the line of fire. And what does Johnny do here, Shane?
It makes a heat vortex that can keep something aloft to slowly allow the people to fall slowly to the earth.
Last time I tried this stunt, I was keeping a stalled plane aloft. Doing it with people is a lot more risky, but they're as good as dead anyway. Round and round the torch flies, and it's working! I'm creating a cushion of hot air, buoying them up. By slowly shifting his flight, Johnny carries the survivors to relative safety. Then, New York is built on solid bedrock. We never have earthquakes. Gotta get back to HQ and find out what's going on. Over a city suddenly transformed into a scene from the inferno flies the Human Torch, coming at last within sight of the reinforced structure of the Baxter Building, standing untouched in the carnage. And unnoticed by Johnny on the street below. Who is it, Shane?
It's none other than Skip Collins.
Skip thinks to himself. Oh, this is dreadful. Dreadful. I wanted to see the Fantastic Four in action, but not like this. Not like this. Meanwhile, 34 stories above, what scene are we greeted with?
We're greeted with them all at the Fantastic Four like little command center there. Reed on the communicator trying to talk to somebody. Ben yelling at Johnny as Johnny's rushing into the room trying to yell at Reed, and Sue just studying what Reed's got going on there and pondering to herself.
Reed, what's happening? Shut up, kid. Big brains on the blower to Washington. They got hit too. You say then that this was not a localized effect? Hardly that, Richards. London and Paris are in flames. Our Iron Curtain sources inform us that Moscow has been leveled. Reports of savage destruction are coming in from all over the world. The president was visiting friends in California, and the whole West Coast has gone silent. I already have several theories on what may have caused this, Mr. Secretary. I'll get to work on it right away. Richard's out. Ben, you and the others do what you can to help out in the city. As soon as I have something, I'll signal you with our flare. You just be sure you do that, Rubber Man. We ain't the Fantastic One, remember? Ben, please just go. Moments later, three sections of a remarkable four-part craft lift from the rooftop hangar. We'll use the old Fantastic car. It ain't got the get up and go of Johnny's souped up version, but it's smaller and more maneuverable. We'll be able to get into the tighter spots better. And I can conserve my flame in case I need it at full strength. Godspeed, both of you. And the three take off in separate directions. And again below, Skip Collins watches the three members of the Fantastic Four go their separate ways and thinks, there go three of them. Oh, I feel so useless. There was only somewhere I could go, some way I could be of help to them. But how could someone like me help the Fantastic Four? Perhaps by simply being in the right place at the right time. And what happens, Shane?
He lights up in bright white light and yellow flashing around him and vanishes out of the picture.
Elsewhere, Johnny comes flying up on a crew of construction workers. That construction crew, why are they digging into that collapsed section of roadway? And the foreman yells, hurry it up, you yahoos! Johnny realizes what's going on. Oh my gosh, the subway, of course. They must have heard a train passing just as the quake hit. It'll take them hours to dig through, but I can burn through in seconds. Flame on! And Johnny leaps from his section of the Fantastic Car and burns a trench into the street and down into the subway tunnel. Gotta control my flame exactly. There may be burst gas mains or worse. Did it! While in another part of the stricken city, Susan Storm Richards does her part. Under the sudden assault of Mother Nature, the great city of New York becomes a single organism, an organism with but one purpose: survival. And Sue uses her invisible force field to lift debris and create a tunnel for trapped civilians to escape. Hurry, you people, hurry! And high above the famed Brooklyn Bridge, what do we see here, Shane?
We see the thing looking down at the Brooklyn Bridge that's has part of it collapsed and a ship stuck underneath it.
And that ship makes a sound.
Woot woot.
The freighter's snagged in the junk from that collapsed section of the bridge. Don't know how long it'll take them to work themselves free, but this whole side of the bridge is likely to fall on them, unless I do something. And Ben exits his section of the Fantastic Car and walks over to the suspension cables. Like maybe tying together these cables. Abruptly. Ugh! The support towers have shifted. The riverbed must have given way. But that leaves yours truly supporting the whole weight of the bridge. Don't think I can hold it, but if I don't, it'll drop on that freighter. It gotta. Hey, that old guy on the pedestrian walkway. Where the heck did he come from? And what old guy is Ben referring to, Shane?
Skip Collins as he appeared out of nowhere.
None other than, and he thinks, my goodness, the thing. But he looks in distress. If he's as strong as I've read, he shouldn't have any trouble with those cables. So, with Skip's words, Ben begins to notice a change in the bridge. Uh, hey, what gives? I feel like I'm getting stronger. No, the bridge is getting lighter. How can that be? Then, after a seeming eternity, what happens?
With a strong vroo, the boat broke free of where it was stuck and took off to safety.
Radar's clear. I can ease up on the. Hey! The bridge suddenly snapped back to its full weight. And Ben, caught by surprise, lets go of the suspension cable. And high above, the ancient stone structure of the bridge, hammered by the earthquakes, suddenly gives way, and 2 tons of masonry, like some obscene pendulum, swings down. And who does it swing directly at, Shane?
Goes directly into Mr. Skip Collins.
Who manages to gasp out a, oh my. Skip Collins has barely enough time to react before the crushing weight slams him over the river. And this is a dead man, Shane.
You think?
Ben looks on in horror and shouts, oh, jeez! For a moment, the stone missile seems to hang motionless, and then, like the arm of some vengeful god, plunges beneath the waves, closely followed by 400 pounds of orange fury. And I enjoy this panel, Shane. Like, sure, it's Ben desperately trying to rescue somebody, but the way he's jumping off the bridge and he's holding his nose before going into the water is great.
Yeah, Geronimo.
Down into the murky waters plunges the thing, but to no avail. And he thinks to himself, I don't get it. There's the hunk of bridge, but there's no sign of the old guy. Despondent, the thing struggles back to the surface, just as a familiar signal lights the smoke-blackened sky. Our flare! Stretcho must have figured out what caused the quakes. Minutes later, where do we go to, Shane?
We go back to the Baxter building and we see Ben enter off panel as the other three were already there, with Reed somewhat having this figured out.
Reed, you did it? You figured out what's going on? He thinks so, Ben, but it's so horrible. The destruction was not generated from within the Earth itself, Ben. The whole planet has been deluged with gravity waves originating somewhere far beyond the solar system. It's as though some incredible force was using gravity as some kind of sonar to probe the Earth. New York seems to have been the worst hit because the effect narrowed or focused here. I can only guess at the intent of the probe, but the meaning is clear. An attack from outer space. Outside, the Baxter building stands serenely against the horror around it. Then, what do we see, Shane?
We see the fantastic rocket take off out of the top of the Baxter building.
And who is watching this takeoff?
Our boy Skip Collins.
How is he alive?
Well, he already proved that he can vanish.
And Skip thinks to himself, the Fantastic Four's rocket. They're launching into space, leaving the Earth behind. For them to be running away, the planet must be doomed. This is terrible. It should never have happened. It should never have happened. Like the futile prayer of a small child trying to undo a wrong, make it never was. Somewhere deep within the radiation-altered brain of Skip Collins, the psychic mechanism kicks into overdrive. The power surges out of him. Irresistible waves of incredible energy ripple across the city, across the structure of space and time itself. All over the world, that which has been is twisted and turned into that which never was. London, Paris, Moscow. And what do we see, Shane?
We see all of the cities that were on fire now back to being completely safe and all structurally sound.
And in a resurrected and somehow strangely peaceful New York, Skip finds himself standing on a dock and thinks to himself, what? My goodness, I must have been daydreaming. How in the world did I manage to walk all the way over here? And look at the time. If I don't hurry back to my hotel and get changed, I'll be late for that Broadway show Mr. Wilkins gave me a ticket for. I must find a taxicab. And so Skip Collins moves off into the gathering dusk, vaguely aware that the annoying buzz in his head is gone. It will never bother him again. However, high above the North Pole, and sadly beyond the effect of Skip Collins' miracle, what do we see, Shane?
Oh, we see the Fantastic Four rocket traveling through space.
At apogee stretch. What now? Adjust course 90 degrees to the plane of the elliptic, Ben. We're going straight up. Inside the hurtling passenger missile, we see Ben piloting the ship alongside Reed while Sue and Johnny ride behind them. Reed, the emergency transmission frequency has gone dead. It's as if someone just switched it off. That's impossible, sis. Only the president can do that. And he's missing. No time to worry about that now. Heads up, Ben. And what do we see, Shane?
We see the Fantastic Four rocket traveling through an asteroid field.
Holy cow! Where'd all these rocks come from? They ain't asteroids. No, Ben, they are fragments of destroyed planets, being swept along by the gravity waves from the object we're approaching. Object? Reed, you mean some kind of vessel? Could a Galactus be returning? I don't think so, Sue. Galactus would have no reason to probe Earth. But whatever it is, it lies at the heart of that cloud of gases. And can you describe this gas cloud for us, Shane?
Yeah, sure. It's a big cloud of Pepto-Bismol.
You're not wrong.
It's a big cloud of Pepto-Bismol with rocks thrown about and it's spinning like a cyclone.
And Ben says, cloud of gases. Hey, what is this, Reed? A leftover special effect from Star Trek? I don't understand your reference, Ben. If it's a joke of some kind, it's poorly timed. Now, deploy wings. We're in the atmosphere inside this cloud. Reed, look outside. Those massive tendrils. They look dead, decaying. They are, Sue. My sensors indicate we've encountered some kind of bizarre ecological system, a bioverse, and it's dying. Turbulence coming up, Reed. Gravity meter shows we're heading down towards something. Slower descent, Ben. Forward scans show we'll soon be clear of the cloud. Good. I want me a look at what we're up against. Do you, Ben Grimm? And we see reaction shots of the Fantastic Four. And yeah, what are they looking like here, Shane?
Absolutely terrified and mesmerized.
Good heavens. Reed, what in the world? Say it ain't so, Stretcho. Tell me I ain't seeing what I'm seeing. But you are, Thing. And if you survive, it is a sight you will never forget. And what are we greeted with, Shane, on our final page?
All right, so it is a planet that is got sharp yellow eyes and a beard and uh just a menacing face overall. And the planet has a bunch of stuff growing off of it and around it and just attached to it.
And this being says, creatures of the third planet, hear me. I have tracked my enemy here across the boundless reaches of the cosmos. Now I mean to destroy him and all your puny world as well. I am the living planet. I am ego. Next issue, Against the Living Planet. Oh boy, Shane.
Yeah, I was not prepared for ego at the end of this issue. The way we were going with Skip Collins.
Which I will now take that moment to go back to the cover conversation. So I think it's a cool cover, like I said, but when you really think about it, and I don't necessarily count his encounter with Ben, Skip Collins doesn't even meet the Fantastic Four in this issue.
No, he does not.
So that was where I was taking slight issue with it being indicative of what happens inside. But it is a very effective cover, I will say. If I had seen this on the rack, I would have definitely been pulled in to buy this issue if I wasn't already reading Fantastic Four.
Which you would have been just like me. So
Anyway, good sir, what were your thoughts on this issue?
I overall enjoyed this issue. I do have some grumblings about certain things that happened in it. Uh you gotta just enjoy this issue for what it is because it sets up for the next issue so much. I ended up looking up Mr. Collins, L.R. Collins on fandom. He never shows up again.
No, he does not.
He is completely a useless character, and it well, not useless. He is vital to the story. I, I'm sorry, Mr. Skip Collins, but I feel like they could have done cool things with him. It reminds me a lot of the Joker's Favor.
Yes, yes, where the guy curses the Joker out in traffic and then yeah, is used for a plot device and then never seen again. But no, that's the thing with Skip Collins. I feel like that character, and I will say, I think that it is a little bit of an ingenious way to kind of work this in, but Byrne took into account here that there is a massive planetoid moving through our solar system, sending out gravity waves as sonar to track its quarry, and that would cause damage to the planet. So he needed a way to resolve said damage by the end of the story, right?
Right.
So, what better way than to just center your story around what is more or less your plot device to do that so you don't have to worry about it? I think he got an extra issue out of it because of doing that. But it does read a little strangely when you don't know what's coming on. It's almost like you have an entire portion of the story that has no consequence because you're building in something that makes sure that there's no consequence.
Yeah. Going back to the fact that I felt a lot like Joker's favor to me. His name is Charlie Collins.
His name is Charlie Collins, yeah. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about an episode of Batman the Animated Series. We have not been very clear on that thus far, but yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead,
that's
watch it where you can. I don't know if it's still on HBO Max, but
it is.
yeah, I don't know for how much longer because there's stuff flying off that platform quick as can be. But yeah, go ahead and look that up. You'll might be able to see what we're talking about. Charlie Collins did not have reality altering powers, though.
No, no, no. Yeah, he was a normal guy. Um,
Anyway, what else stood out to you this week?
I know that you probably really enjoyed it way more than I did, but the call out to like the New York, like the famous New York City stuff was real cool. The way to put it all in like one little panel.
Oh, that was actually really well done. I did enjoy how Byrne managed to take several New York landmarks and work them into one panel that showed Skip's joy and awe at being in New York City. Because, I mean, this is just, as far as I can tell, small town, Midwestern boy, never been to the city. And I don't think, you know, I don't think today going to New York elicits that kind of response like it did 40 years ago, 45 years ago, as of this recording. So kind of cool to see. It's a nice little time capsule moment, honestly.
Well, I think like the shows like Friends and stuff that took place in New York City kind of ruined the aura New York had about it, especially for like the Midwest people, because they weren't going to see it unless they traveled out there.
It's true. Plus, I wouldn't want
So,
to go to New York City if I was going to encounter Ross Geller either. So,
I was just saying, I was just using the
oh, I
like
know
the
you were,
idea.
but I took full advantage of it.
Yeah,
Well, how about our Fantastic Four of the week? Would you like to get down to that?
sure.
So I go first this week,
Hmm.
and we'll start off with Fantastic Frame. So, due to some other choices I made, I'm actually going to nominate my second choice for Fantastic Frame this week, which would be page 8, panel 4, where Reed stretches out his street clothes while remaining clothed in his FF uniform to save the child that's trapped on that ledge. And one of the reasons I actually really like this is back in episode 35, we covered Fantastic Four Volume 1, Number 10, The Return of Doctor Doom. And it's kind of a juxtaposition with a moment there where he puts on an intentionally stretchy suit over his uniform to visit the Marvel Comics offices. And what I really like about that is that this panel, in my opinion, kind of illustrates how rare and valuable the science of clothes being made by unstable molecules is. I don't think he should just be able to do that with any piece of clothing. I think him being able to kind of stretch his uniform like straight out of, whatever garb he's wearing is more practical than that, especially since he probably needs to make more fireproof clothes for Johnny, right?
Yeah, or well, the unstable molecules. Remember, they brought that up in the the Human Torch issue.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's a valuable resource. So,
Yeah,
he shouldn't just have. I don't think Reed would be one to just be making stretchy suits all the time for himself.
no.
Yeah. But yeah, so page 8, panel 4, just thought that was really cool. Like you said when we first encountered it in the issue. What
Yeah.
about you? What were you nominating for Fantastic Frame this week?
I had a real hard time. Kept going between two panels, but I'm gonna stay with the one I picked. It's page 18, panel 3. So it's when Ben is swimming down to try to find Skip in the water. I really liked the blue shade that went over top of the orange and all that. It just was like it stood out so much because usually when you see him in the water, you see his orange stand out against it. It was nice to see that they're like the color took the time to be like, no, he would have like a, especially swimming so far down, he would have like a different shade than just bright orange in the water.
That is a nice call out because I wholeheartedly believe that colorist Bob Sharon is like the unsung hero of 1980s Marvel Comics. His work never fails to deliver and is a very good touch to detail here with that coloring on that panel. I wholeheartedly agree that what could have been, let's face it, burn art is very pretty, but what could have been an otherwise unremarkable panel is really elevated because of Bob Sharon's coloring there.
Yeah, because my other panel was the panel where he's holding the bridge because I really liked the all the cutouts in the panel. So back 2 pages, 16:4 or whatever. It was between that, and because I really liked just the way they did the box with the cutouts in it. It really
Hmm.
shows that it was like a really big action shot. But I went with the coloring because the coloring is like so superb. You have fantastic art, great uh inks, great colors. It's vital to the story, him trying to find Skip. This panel was just like it was a pretty thing.
Well, enough of this positivity. What was your grim grumbling for the week?
So I had a lot of grim grumblings for this week, and I almost made it Skip, but but I ended up going with the dang girl's friends because not only did they put her in trouble, like in super danger, she now put the firefighters in danger and a whole crowd of citizens in danger of this building that could fall at any second. Her friends were the worst.
Her
Where
friends aren't even in the issue. They're
her fr
mentioned.
I,
You're picking
I
something that's not actually even in the issue.
it is in the issue. It's
I mean,
mentioned that it's
it's
mentioned.
mentioned, but still, like it's not in the.
That's
I
how
mean,
that's
I would be like, you know what, I would take a grim grumbling for that from. I would be like, how does the firefighter know that her friends did this? Like that's the leap in logic I would go for. But instead, you're just like, I don't like her friends, because they did that off panel, not in the book. Like, what was your second choice?
Skip.
All right.
Oh, and that gets worse. I'll explain that later. We're gonna come back to Skip, don't worry.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, we're in our grim grumbling segment now, so you could probably complain about it now.
It's not even a complaint thing. Don't worry. We'll
All
get back
right.
to
All right, fine, fine. I
what what's your grumble, bud?
my grim grumbling for this episode, in particular, I narrowed it down to page 19, panel 3, simply because we never see Skip Collins' actual reappearance and reaction after being absolutely destroyed on the Brooklyn Bridge. He just shows up and he's like, "Oh, the rocket." I think that was a missed opportunity to see his reaction and have that influence him to intentionally restore all the destruction that was caused to Earth. I guess reconstruct Earth would be a better way to say that. And then, if his powers fade and he forgets, like he comes out of that fog and he's like, "How did I get here?" He could still think it's a daydream, but I think that would actually give him a moment of being like, "Oh, wow, I have this power and I can fix this." That to me, I just think would have been a cool moment that we didn't get. And it annoyed me a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your cosmic cliffhanger?
Cosmic cliffhanger, do you really have to ask? I don't think you can get any closer to the definition of cosmic cliffhanger than ending your story on a to be continued while coming face to face with Ego the Living Planet. I do not think that if I didn't pick the splash on page 22 that I was doing the term cosmic cliffhanger justice.
All right, fair enough. I mean, it was a good one. I almost went with that one. I did not, though. I went with page 17, panel 6, where Skip gets absolutely demolished by the bridge.
That was my runner up. That was my runner up for cosmic cliffhanger.
And I was like, do we ever see him again? Because that bridge just killed him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say this. I took it as like an impact, but I guess you would have to have that impact bubble kind of between Skip and the piece of bridge that collides with him. Maybe this impact bubble is him just vanishing out of harm's way. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is where we were coming back to Skip, or is that next up?
That's next up.
Oh, cool. So in that case, if you're ready to move on to most fantastic player,
Yeah.
who was your most fantastic player,
It
Shane?
was Skip because he fixed the Earth somehow. I don't know how. He doesn't know how.
Yeah, my notes for this because I also picked Skip Collins as the MFP for this issue. My notes read Skip Collins restores destroyed civilizations the world over. No one knows it. He doesn't know it. Who else could it really be? Like,
Yeah, up until this point, I had Sue because she did the most of saving the most people because she saved everyone from the building collapsing. Then she was making the tunnels. And then like the more of the planet was dying, and he's just like, I thought it and it was all better. And I'm like, I mean, I guess it's Skip. He saved the whole world.
yeah, exactly. So what are you complaining about?
I hate this guy.
You hate this guy?
Yeah. Like
Shane,
like
I
at
hate to
least
tell you, but I think there's a little bit of Skip Collins in all of us.
this dude, like, why did he have superpowers? And why did they take him away so fast? They could have at least used him for something
Hey,
else.
Shane, I hate to tell you this. I did the math. So first of all, he has superpowers because he was exposed to radiation and it created a buzzing in his head. It probably amplified some sort of psychic thing that was in his lineage. This is all speculation on that. But he didn't just have them and then get immediately taken away. He had them for like 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years. How did this like, how did this never happen before 30 years later? I'm so confused. Skip's stories confuses me. I don't even know. Skip Collins. R.I.P. Skip Collins. We'll never have to talk about you again.
Hey, he didn't die at the end of this story. He's still alive. For all you know, Ryan North could bring him back this year.
You know what? If there was someone that would do it, it would be him. Fair enough.
Anyway, folks, if you would like to read this story for yourself and enjoy the beautiful artwork of John Byrne and Bob Sharon, you can find this first reprinted in the Marvel Superheroes magazine, issue number 3 from December of 1994. And the next time it was revisited was in the Fantastic Four by John Byrne Omnibus, Volume 1 from November of 2011. That's how I chose to enjoy the story today. There's also the Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 21, which was published in December of 2019. And then we are recording this episode on the week of February 3rd, 2026, which was when Fantastic Four Epic Collection Volume 13, Back to the Basics, was released. So you can literally go to your comic shop or local bookstore right now, pick up that Epic Collection, and enjoy this very story. You can also find it on Marvel Unlimited, or of course, you can go ahead and search through the back issue bins. The single issue will cost you less than $5. Well, Shane, what do you want to talk about next week?
Same thing we do every Thursday and talk about Fantastic Four.
Thanks, Brain. I'm not calling you Brain. I can't get behind that. It doesn't work that way. So next week, Shane, we are going to go back to Marvel 2-in-1 Volume 1 and
Oh yeah,
cover
yeah,
the
yeah.
second part of the three-part story with The Thing and Starhawk and Moondragon and Her. So Marvel 2-in-1, Volume 1, number 62 by Mark Gruenwald and Jerry Bingham. I'm actually really looking forward to it. This is the story from our This Day in FF History post that garnered some questions that we decided to do an episode on. Really excited to get back to it.
That first issue was really cool, so I'm really excited to go through the three parts. I hope I'm not disappointed and it falls flat in issue three.
Just a reminder, true believers, that your feedback is important to us. We would highly appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review on Apple or a commenter review on Spotify. Just remember, you can subscribe to us on your preferred listening platform so we can show up in your feed each and every week. We are on Facebook at the Fantastic Four Fancast, where we encourage you to engage in FF related discussions and share Fantastic Four content. We only ask that you adhere to the group rules, most important of which is to be respectful, though there are others, so make sure you're following those as well. Now, that is one way that you can, maybe show interest in certain content that we can cover here on the show. You can also follow us on Instagram at Fan4Fancast. That is FAN, the number four, FANCAST. And finally, you can contact us by email with any feedback or episode suggestions at fan4fancast@gmail.com. Again, that is FAN, the number four, FANCAST @gmail.com. Shane, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to leave the true believers with this week?
No, I can't think of anything besides our regular go read this issue.
All right. Very plainly stated. So for Skip Collins, I mean Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles.
I don't think I would have as much stuff go wrong around me if I was Skip Collins, because I could just think it into being not miserable all the time.
What does it tell you? Positive vibes, buddy.
He's never has a positive thought. His whole time he's miserable.
That's not true. Think about when he
His
was sightseeing in New York, and
There's one panel where he has a smile on his face.
it's fair. Well, Shane, it's been fun talking about this issue. Can't wait to do it again next week. Not this issue, the issue of Marvel 2, and we're not going to do this twice in a row.
That's
But
good.
anyway, I'm going to stop putting my foot in my mouth. For Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles. We look forward to see you again next week. And until then, stay fantastic.